Hello again, welcome to the Memoir channel. My name is Nikki Smart and my first guest for 2025 is Scott Ogden. Now Scott has not actually written a memoir, but he should, he needs to. But instead he writes a blog called The Wind at My Back. And this is all about his travels. So Scott has been traveling the world for, I want to say, 5 years now. And he has learned profound lessons along the way, which he documents in his blog, along with beautiful photos. And I highly recommend that you sign up for his newsletter. Yeah, he's had many, many adventures, gone all over the show. Whoops, my light's falling. Let's go talk to Scott and find out a little bit more. Hi, Scott. Welcome to the Memoir channel.
Hey, Nikki. Nice to see
Oh,
you.
yeah, nice to see you.
Swaddy Cup.
So, where in the world are you actually right now?
I right now am in Koh Samui, Thailand. It's a medium small island in south eastern Thailand.
And it looks like you're in quite a warm temperature right now. Looks like it's hot.
It's there's three temperatures in Thailand: hot, hotter, and hottest. This is the hot time of year. It's actually not been bad this fall or this winter. It's cooler than it usually is. Today
Oh,
was beautiful. So next summer is miserable, but what can you
yeah,
do?
yeah.
But it's been a few years, so I'm getting used to it.
So, I mean, I was telling everyone that you haven't written a memoir, although I think you should. Are you,
Thank you.
are you going to?
You know,
Maybe.
life will unfold as it may. I do enjoy writing. I enjoy my blog. I will keep doing it. And we'll see where it goes. If,
Yeah.
you know, we'll
Well, I
see
was
where it
saying that
goes.
your blog is lovely, and not only is it beautifully written, but you have all these fantastic photos. So you really
Yeah.
allow everyone a little look into your world. And it's, I mean, you're traveling. I mean, you're going into these little tiny villages and where there's no tourists. I mean, I feel like you're very intrepid in your traveling.
There were no tourists during COVID for sure. But there's definitely more tourists now, pretty much everywhere.
Really?
I actually kind of miss the COVID days, which I know is kind of maybe
No,
sacrilege to say, but
no, I think a lot
it
of us
was
do
an
actually.
interesting time. It was an interesting time, and now the dam has broken and the floods are out there. Certainly in Samui, it's very crowded. This is the high season anyway.
Yeah.
So,
So
but
you've been traveling for 5 years, is that right?
a little over 5 years, I sold my house and my cars and got rid of pretty much everything I own and started traveling the world. And then
Now,
that was before COVID. And then COVID hit and everything changed, but everything stayed the same on some
right.
levels. I kept
Did
traveling.
did you know that you were going to do this? I mean, like 10 years before you did it, did you know this was this your plan?
Yeah, I think so. It might right. How long I would travel, I had no idea. Even when I left, um, I didn't know how long. And I had left with a partner at the time. We were
Hmm.
together. We had been together for 3 years, and uh, we talked. I know she talked like a year, and I'm like, it might be a little longer than that. And then after a year and a half, we split. I kept going. It just was getting in. I got the bug. I wanted to
Hmm.
keep going, and this whole thing kind of snowballed. I did start writing immediately. It gave me a sense of purpose. I had a creative career in Los Angeles, and I wanted to keep the creativity going. I've
Hmm.
always enjoyed writing, though I've never been a writer. Uh, Other artistic talents I developed, but writing seems to fit the niche. But I love photography too, so
Hmm.
the photographs are a huge part of my storytelling and
Yeah.
my blogs, and that's one thing you say. Write a memoir. I'm like, well, can I put in pictures?
Of course you can. Please
How
do.
do you do that? I don't know. Do people do that? It's stuff I don't know because most
Yeah.
books are just books and don't usually they usually have a few black and
Yeah.
white pictures.
No, definitely a travel memoir. You put in whatever you want. Actually, it's yours. So, but okay. So I want to
I'll-
ask you some questions about your traveling. So
okay,
I don't, I'm
you
just
got it.
starting randomly. So one is, what about when you get sick? Because I'm sure if you're traveling to all these places, have you had some really weird and strange illnesses that you might not have had if you'd just stayed in Los Angeles?
Well, I think actually I get sick less than I did in Los
Oh,
Angeles. I've only really been sick three times, twice. Once I'd spent a month in Ethiopia and went from Ethiopia to Cape Town. And I think it was the stress of Ethiopia because that is a somewhat stressful place to be in, especially um, I was traveling with my partner Kelly at the time, and she really battled it. It was difficult for her, especially in the South, in these ancient tribes, and how women fit into the tribes themselves.
mhm.
It could put you on your heels, and it certainly did her. So I had to deal with her stress, and then this interesting, different environment. And then I got to South Africa, and then I was, yeah, throwing up and all kinds of stuff. Turned out I got something, went to the local doctor, gave me a couple pills, and it disappeared.
So you
And
must have,
then
you've got a good constitution.
I think I do. And then in India, I got a sore throat that wouldn't go away. The hotel I was staying at took me to the hospital. It's a good story. Took me to the local hospital. I We walked into the emergency room. It's an older hospital, and they took my blood pressure, and I immediately saw a doctor who looked at my mouth and with a light, and I go, okay, blah blah blah, and gave me a prescription for some antibiotics. Went to the pharmacy there, got the antibiotics, left. So this all took about an hour, 45 minutes, and the bill was $12 for everything, including the antibiotics. And then it went away, and it went away. And then just a few weeks ago, I got a cold, first time in like 5 years. So
Yeah,
other than
that's
that,
amazing, actually.
haven't gotten sick. Haven't gotten sick much.
Right, because I mean,
Um,
you've been to all through Africa and all in India and all these countries where most people get sort of stomach
I
bugs, and
know,
so good
I
for
know,
you.
right?
All right,
Weird.
and then
I think a lot of it has to do with water, and now uh,
yes.
for it's positive and negative because it's there's clear water, clean water everywhere, but it's all in plastic. So now plastic is everywhere, but it's not hard to get clean water.
Okay.
And now I've actually switched uh, to this portable filter that I put water into from anywhere and
Hmm.
squeeze down, and I can drink it. So I just recently went to Nepal and Bhutan and carried this with me everywhere, and it was fantastic. So no plastic, and any faucet anywhere I could clean
Oh,
water,
that is
and
that
that
is
was neat.
fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
that's a good addition to my to
Your,
my the things I carry with
your
me. So
travel
yeah,
stuff.
my
Wow.
travel stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, and I was saying that you've learned a lot of profound lessons along your way. It seems like in your blog, you always have these, I mean, it's beautifully written and you have these beautiful observations. But maybe you could share one of your, oh, you know what? Maybe now's a good time for you to read because I know you said your favorite passage was from your time in India.
One of my favorite passages was definitely, or blog post was from my time in India. Yes,
Yeah. So
yeah, I mean
maybe,
you find that the best blog posts, excuse me, the best blog posts is always when you're uncomfortable, when things are in your face, you don't know which ends up. That's always the best. When you have a good experience somewhere, ah, yeah, it's nice, but who
yeah,
cares?
yeah,
So it's
true,
always when
true.
you're like when you like face chaos, when you face drama, when you face that's the interesting stuff. And
Yeah.
India was certainly a challenge. Without a doubt, was a challenge. It was my first time, and I'm happy to read it.
Yeah, let's
Please excuse me for if I mess up as I read.
absolutely no
I'm more a
problem.
writer than I am a narrator, but
No
at
worries,
points.
no
So
worries. All
so
right.
this comes from I had I think three or four blogs from India. They kind of just came out, and this came out not too long after I arrived in Varanasi. So here goes anything. So thank you for allowing me to share. Surrender, surrender, surrender. It becomes my mantra. I am in Varanasi, the spiritual capital of India. In this ancient city where pilgrims come to pray, to give blessings to the holy Ganges, they bathe in it, they drink from it, they celebrate. Music screams from loudspeakers, drummers attack their instruments, all of it echoing off the water. People dance and laugh, they pray in the temples. This is where it all begins and ends. But I wonder to myself, why am I here? To get anywhere, you have to pick a direction and just start walking. The streets, if you can call them that, are tiny alleyways squeezed between decaying stone and brick buildings. Scooters whiz past, their horns piercing my ears. The alleys twist and turn. Where they go, I can rarely tell, for I am lost. I check Google Maps to orient myself, but it's basically useless. No cell coverage can penetrate the encircling walls that keeps out the sun and house the myriad of families who huddle in their tiny rooms. The alleys are packed with pilgrims, women dressed in colorful saris, men, their bellies protruding beneath stained shirts. Many have ashen markings smeared on their foreheads, markings from the chalk left after the dead are burned in the nearby funeral pyres. Sadhus, ascetics who have renounced worldly life, shuffle along in their orange robes, bare feet, and white painted faces. I see foreigners, tourists with cameras, ragged nomads dressed in simple cloth, dreadlocks draping over their shoulders. It seems many have been here for years. Told here, by what I cannot say, but they seem at home. I am not at home. Death is everywhere. You don't see it, but you feel it. It is the great secret that people keep close to them, as their existence is not so much about this life, it is about the other side of this life. I came to India. I came open without prejudice. I heard many stories, love and hate, but I wanted to discover on my own. So I opened my mind and heart and descended into the chaos. I wanted to try and understand, to embrace. But being in India has its downsides. You are forced to confront what is right in front of you. The smells. You hold your breath to keep them away. The noise. Oh my God, the noise. Then there is the dirt. Even in the holy places where you must take off your shoes, your next step is more dirt. Then the cows, and dogs and shit you hopefully step over, and the trash thrown into random piles, and the men and women who shovel it up and take it somewhere. We all share the same space. There is no other choice. I can see why people here focus on God, on the pure, on the other planes of existence. India forces you to do that. Back home, we have pushed this chaos away. Our Western civilizations focus on beauty. We have refined our tastes. We have run from the darkness. Even our temples of worship are refined, beautiful. But in India, there is no escape. I am certain that I will return, that I will have digested my experiences, that I will come back prepared, that I too will focus not on the chaos, but on the undefinable magic around me. For the soul of India is God. It is not a country you conquer, it conquers you. You cannot own it, it owns you.
Oh, lovely, lovely, lovely.
Thank you.
Wow. I just feel like you're so brave because you just really get into like you just go everywhere and you really go there. You know what I mean? Uh,
It's my chance, you know. I'm thankfully a curious person,
mhm.
so I'm always curious. I'm always looking under rocks and talking to people, and I travel solo also, which is allows myself to eat most of my dinners alone and So if I want to talk and meet somebody, I have to put myself out,
Right.
and which isn't always easy, but yeah, I find people wonderful everywhere, and the world is less a scary place than a welcoming place. It's
Mm,
the longer I've done it, the more I want to continue doing it. The thought of coming back and living in America is not very
mm,
interesting to me.
mm. Now,
But I'm
do most people
oh, go
speak
ahead.
English when you're traveling? So you can always find someone,
Most people speak. I mean, we're lucky, or I'm lucky that English is kind of the universal language
right?
that every most different cultures use English. No, some places, let's say the worst country was Brazil. Uh, and then we were there for almost 5 months during the beginning of COVID. It was very
Right.
difficult to find people that spoke English. But when you find somebody, you make friends with them and like, hey, can we be friends? Because I need a friend who speaks English can help me, right? And people are like, oh yeah, yeah, no problem. People are
Yeah,
nice,
yeah,
If you greet people with a smile, and do hand sign language, and there's Google Translate is wonderful. And what
yeah,
then how many things do you need to ask,
yeah.
you get by.
What is one of the what is one of the biggest takeaways that you've had from all your travel, do you think?
Takeaways in terms of
Well, not like
in
I
terms
guess the
of
biggest thing you've learned or the noticed or something that really strikes you that you wouldn't have known, before you started out. Maybe that's just too big a question because there's just so much,
it's a big question. I mean,
right?
I can ramble a little bit about it in the sense of how I've changed over the times of travel. Is that I
Hmm.
mean, I had a very successful career in Hollywood, and I owned the big house and everything, and had raised the family. And when I went off, I come from very, it was stressful. I mean, I love what I did, but it was very stressful. And then all of a sudden, I retired as well as I'm traveling. I turned 65 now. In 2 months, in April, I'll turn 71. It's So I'm kind of wrapping up retirement with travel
Hmm.
and with shedding the idea of having to work. I'm lucky enough that I'm okay. If I watch my pennies, I'm okay. I kind of look at myself as a 20-year-old with a budget, is what I like to say. So, um, so it's a revelation just to not have to work, and not to have a 9 to 5 or a 9 to 10 in my case.
Right.
Lifestyle and the stresses of, like I said, raising a family. My girls have both graduated from college, are on doing well. I keep in contact with them
Hmm.
as much as I keep in contact with anybody. But I think so there's like this shedding of routine and this like embracing of discovering every new day. And this has
Hmm.
been a very exciting development. And I continue to discover this and have it unfold. I had a creative job, like I just said, and so the writing is nice to get these thoughts out and to sort my thinking.
Hmm.
I meditate almost every day. I took up breath work, um, really a lot of it in India, so which is called pranayama there. So
Hmm.
I find that sets up my morning routine nicely. Um, I stay open to the day. I feel like I I think I feel closer to my spiritual side,
Hmm.
and I have a step back from the world a little bit, and I'm really enjoying that. I like doing nothing. I
Hmm.
embrace quiet, and just listening and just being a part of life.
Mm.
Um, it's fascinating to get rid of the checklists that I've lived with for so many years. It's interesting. It's interesting in ways how I can have a day, and at the end of the day, I have done basically nothing, but I feel really good. It's fascinating. I don't have to like say, oh, I've done this, this, and this, and this
Hmm.
in order to feel like I had a successful
It's
day.
so lovely because you're just enjoying the day.
I just let it unfold, and
Hmm.
but I have my routine now, especially being in Thailand, because after so many years of jumping from country to country, and I try to go slow. Some countries I've stayed 3 months, at a minimum a month in a country. It depends, but up to 3 months, and a lot of it has to do with what kind of visa you can
Right,
get, you
right.
know. So, but when I came to Thailand, and this was 2.5 years ago, I think, first time here. Uh, I just like, well, I need a home base. So it felt like, oh, this is the first country, though I've loved many countries I've been to, which is over 40 now. Uh, but it's like a place where I feel really comfortable. It's not expensive. It's
Hmm.
I feel like I'd be healthy here, and I am healthy here. I've picked up Muay Thai boxing, so I box 3 days a week, which is
Hmm.
great for my health.
Hmm.
The food, I love spicy food. This food is great. The people are nice. I have a Thai girlfriend now. I actually live with her in our little tiny house.
Hmm.
So it's in the center of all of Southeast Asia, which is fantastic. You can get to so many places so easily. It's a great country. It really
Mm.
is. I
Mm.
love it here.
So that's
Um,
home now.
it's my home. It's home now. Yes,
Yeah.
it's home now. I look at it as a home base. I'm here around 8 months out of the year now. This last 2 years, I travel about 4 months out of the year.
Hmm.
Kind of divided into a spring trip and a fall trip. So
Okay.
4 to 5 months, I'm gone. So uh, mid March, I head for the first time to Japan. Very excited for 5 weeks, meeting my eldest daughter there for a couple of weeks, and then I'm gonna. My plan is to go to South Korea for about 3 weeks, and then come back. And then in the fall, I come back to America for the first time in 2 years, and then off to Europe to see some friends,
Hmm.
and then back here, and then next year I got a bunch of stuff percolating. I still have quite a few countries I haven't been to. I'm
Hmm.
looking at this between now and I'm like 75 or so is like definitely focused on travel. And then who knows after that? I don't think I'll ever give it up. It's really easy for me to go to countries. I'm
Yeah.
so used to it now. I kind of
Yeah.
know what happens when I get there. I'm not really in a hurry. I'm always uncomfortable for the first day or two, any new place.
Yeah.
In fact, I hate it usually. I'm just like, "Ah, ah." I feel lost. I wake up and where in the hell am I? But I so expect that now to be uncomfortable. But once I find the nearby coffee shop,
Right.
some place to eat, where I am at
Something to anchor
all,
you. Yeah.
yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Somewhere to anchor me. Then
Yeah.
I start relaxing a little bit more, and then I'm fine. But I'm always, and the beds you get are so random. Especially in Southeast Asia, they're all like rock.
Oh,
If
that
you
would
get
be
a soft
difficult.
bed,
That would be difficult. I didn't even think of that.
yeah,
But yeah. Um,
yeah, it's tough.
I mean, I remember traveling a little bit. I went around the world when I was 21. And I think the thing that struck me was how poor everybody was. Because I'd been living in my little bubble, I just thought, oh, everyone lives like this. And I was really quite amazed at the poverty, right? Because most places you visit, people are pretty much dirt poor,
I would say, well, Europe, you might feel a little differently, but
right?
certainly in Africa and Asia, well, when you say dirt poor, it really doesn't describe where they're at. They have little money, but it's weird. You see very little homelessness around the world.
Right.
Certainly, I mean, I come from Los Angeles the last 36 years of my life, and that's a huge problem there.
Yeah,
And
it
a
is.
lot of America, I know. You don't see it here. People don't have a lot of money, but they lean on their families. Family is very important. They
Hmm.
take care of
Hmm.
their families take care of them. So they have little money. Yeah, it's incredible. It keeps them, but these countries are inexpensive for us for the most part. Africa, as a traveler, can be a little expensive, but Southeast Asia is very cheap. But you start to wonder when I look back at America, and this probably very much includes Europe also, that the focus is on so much on money, and people's sense of worth and value comes from owning things
Hmm.
and working hard and then rewarding that hard work with buying something that makes
Hmm.
them happy for, I don't know, how long? 12 hours, maybe a couple days, a new car until you get the first dent. So many things
Right.
that and I own almost nothing. I travel with a carry-on. Since I've been in Thailand, I've bought like recently I bought a pair of jeans. I own a few things, a few extra shirts, but I own almost nothing, and
Yeah.
I find owning almost nothing is actually incredible amount of freedom.
Yeah. I think so
I love
too.
it.
Yeah. And I mean, I did
I love
notice
it.
that even though they're poor, they seem to be content. And I don't know if content is the right word, but there's a sense of happiness or togetherness or community that you don't feel in Los
all
Angeles. It's
all of
much more
that and
lonely.
acceptance. I think
Yeah,
acceptance. I mean, all people want a little bit more money,
sure.
and it's amazing how little they live on. But their life isn't about money. I mean, here
Right.
tipping is not a big deal. It's growing a little bit, especially in the tourist places like Koh
Hmm.
Samui where I'm living. But I've been around where I've given 20 baht tip, which is about 25 cents. And they're just all like, Captain Crab, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, yeah,
For 25 cents,
right.
They're like, I'm like, what? Oh, come on. But I mean, it's serious. They're not, where I know in LA, if you're not tipping 25% on a
Yeah,
cocktail that costs $25
I know.
or
It's so
$30. I
crazy.
don't,
It's
you know
so
what I mean?
crazy.
It's just like it's a different mindset.
Well, what do you think is one of your most profound lessons that you've learned in your travels?
I think living simply,
Yeah.
living, being grateful for my life, being humbled by my life, and I'm a lucky man. People say, "Oh, you're a lucky man." I'm like, "Yeah, I am a lucky man." But
Sure.
I've risked a lot to get here. So I'm a big believer in taking risks, and I feel like by taking risks, you get rewarded at work, and I've been rewarded by taking these risks. But I don't know. I like simple. It's less and
Hmm.
more by on all levels. So um,
Hmm.
I think there are many lessons I have, but that's a big one. I
Yeah.
embrace it. I enjoy it, and but I enjoy nice things and like great meals. If I splurge on anything, it's food.
Food.
But because I'm a kind of a foodie, and
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. I
but
mean,
it's hard to
even
find good food places.
in your blog, you often have lovely food photos as well. So, okay, your blog is called The Wind at My
The
Back.
wind at my back.net,
Dot
net,
net.
net.
Okay, and people can
Yeah.
sign up, and once they've signed up, you will send them a blog once a month with your
Yeah.
post.
Nah, sometimes I'm regular, sometimes I'm not. I just released I went to Bhutan in
Yeah, I
the
read that one
fall
was
and
beautiful.
just released that recently. Right now I'm writing on Nepal. So and I mix up my travel, and it's not like a come to Nepal and stay at this hotel. It's not that kind of blog.
Right.
It says the wind at my back, which really explains my life to me. I feel like I'm just letting life push me to wherever it goes.
Hmm.
Um, Underneath it, I say reflections on the road, and I try to show how wherever I go impacts who I am, what I've learned, and my insight, which I kind of did in this
Yeah.
Viranazi blog that
Yeah.
I read from. So I like to have that input, and
Yeah,
that's kind of where I reflect on. So you get some insight into whatever community, whatever country I'm in. Or
yeah,
sometimes I do randomly, I blog that I wrote about, I call it Too Many Temples, which is about traveling for so long and seeing so many museums and ruins and temples and cathedrals that after a while they all kind of blur together and how they lose their impact.
sure,
And
sure.
then I have one Too Many Tourists, that one. And then I have other things about when well, I did get pretty sick on an airplane once.
Yeah.
That's an interesting blog.
Okay.
So I do write the personal, the things that I run up against, and
Yeah.
I'm just trying to explore and share with
No,
people.
it's
And
beautiful.
yeah,
It's I recommend you sign up for it. It's very lovely. Well, thank you so much for taking the
sure.
time to chat with us. And
Th- Thank you,
yeah, I
Nikki.
love reading your blog, so please keep doing it and consider doing a whole memoir because I definitely think
Thank
there's
you.
one in you. Probably
I
several,
think
actually.
that's I we'll see. I think it's there. Right now I'm too much in my input mode. I'm still gathering too much material.
Yeah.
But 3 or 4 or 5 years from now, it gives me something to do in my later 70s or
All
80s,
right.
then
All
I
right.
might
Well, then
not
you
be
come
traveling
back.
as
You come
much.
back and come in. We'll have another interview.
I would love that.
All
I would
right.
love
Thank you so much.
that. So
All right.